The student do practice, and there are two kinds of practice: guided practice and independent practice. Guided practice is when the students continue to get inputs from the teacher. For example, when they do this guided practice, after learning how to add three numbers, 7, 3, and 2, using materials, they are then asked to add three numbers. And in the first part, they have to make 10. And they are given numbers like 2, 8, and 4. So they should readily say that, oh, 2 and 8, that's 10. 10 and 4, that's 14. And in the second task, they are given 3, 9, and 1. Now, they need to look at the last two numbers. If they continue to focus on the first two numbers, they will not get the 10 easily. But looking at 3, 9, and 1, they would say, oh, the 9 and 1 make 10, and 3 and 10, that's 13. So that's an example of a variation. In the first task, 1A, the 10 come from the first two numbers. Whereas in 1B, the 10 come from the last two numbers. And they have to make 10. In the second task, where they have to do 4 further additions, they are no longer required to make 10. They are simply asked to add. So they might use different methods. And if they are using making 10 as a method, the numbers offered to them are 6, 7, and 4. Now, if they continue to look at the first two numbers or the last two numbers, they will not see the 10. Instead, they got to say that the 10 come from the first and the third number. So in a guided practice, we systematically vary the numbers so that students are not fixated on one particular way of thinking. And as a teacher, we guide them through that by asking the question, where do you get a 10? Is it possible to still make 10, even though you are not required to make 10? With 6, 7, and 4? How do you get 10? I don't see 10 from the first two numbers. I don't see 10 from the next two numbers. Where do you get the 10? And the student should say the first and the third one. And in the next task, they are asked to do 9, 0, and 4 being added together. Now, you can see the variation. For the first time, there are no two numbers that make 10 readily. The student should say 9 and 1 make 10, but there's no 9 and 1, and they should say there is. There's a 1 hiding in the 4. So for the first time, they need to say that 1 is hiding in one of the other numbers, as opposed to previously where 9 and 1 is given or 8 and 2 is given. And by the time they get to the third task, they now have to add 8, 5, and 9. And this is the first time where not only are they making 1 10, they need to make 2 10s to proceed. So this is a clear example of how the teacher uses variation in a guided practice. And what's their role during the guided practice is to constantly ask the student, can we make 10 to add? After all, that's the goal of the lesson. And how do you make 10? And the students would say, oh, I'm adding the first two number. Oh, I'm adding the last two number. Or it's the first and the third number. Or in cases like 9, 0, and 4, they will say, I will take 1 from the 4, combined with a 9 to make 10. Or in cases like 8, 5, and 9, they will say, oh, not enough to make 1 10, now I have to make 2 10s, get the 8 and the 9 both to become 10s. So those are examples of variation, and that is one way a teacher can guide students during guided practice.
If you enjoyed the video, then why not hit the like button? Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, to stay up to date with our latest videos. If you want to check out more videos, then click on the right to dive into another topic. Thanks for watching!